Alright, so what I'm going to teach you today is quadratic and radical inverses. Now I'm just going to do two examples because we talked about inverses in the first 9 weeks. So it's very similar. So if you go back to your notes from the first 9 weeks, inverses, to find an inverse, you must switch x and y. So the assignment that you're going to be doing today, I'm going to kind of go over how you're going to do it. It's asking for step 1. It says for each of these functions, do the following. Graph y1 of f of x in your calculator, and then sketch the inverse. So I'm going to first graph this function. Alright, so I go to y equal, and I type in parentheses x minus 2 squared minus 4, and I'm going to graph that. Okay, so I see the graph should look like this. So then I'm going to second table, and I'm going to get some points. So I see I'm probably going to use these 1, negative 3, 2, negative 4. So I'm going to use 1, negative 3, 2, negative 4, and 3, negative 3. I think it was on there. Yes, 3, negative 3. So I'm going to use those 3 points. Okay, so now I'm going to plot them. So 1, negative 3, 2, negative 4, 3, negative 3. Okay, now if you want to get more points, you're welcome to get more points, but get at least 3. And the reason I picked those is because I see that it goes down and comes back up. And I see the U. So now I'm going to kind of sketch my graph here. So now that I have these 3 points, to find the inverse, I'm going to do it in a different color. I'm going to flip these. So now it's going to be this. I'm literally just switching x and y. So I have negative 3, comma 1, negative 4, comma 2, and negative 3, comma 3. So now this is my new parabola. So now it's going sideways. So this would be the inverse of that graph. Okay, so that's step 1 that you're going to do. You're going to graph the original in your calculator, get some points, and then switch them to find x and y. Now I want to find the domain and the range of each one. So the domain of this one is negative infinity to positive infinity, all real numbers. Okay, we've been doing this for a couple days now because if I look at this graph, domain is left to right, it's your x's. So this graph keeps going left and it keeps going right technically. It's going to keep going and going and going. Now the range. This graph talking about height up and down because range is your y's. So up and down, it's only going one direction. It's only going up. Now it's going up from this point, which was negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going up from negative 4. Now this inverse, the domain and range for this one. The domain here is left to right. This graph does not keep going left and right. Instead, it only goes right. So it's x is greater than or equal to. And let's see where's this point here. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes right. So from here, it goes right. So x is greater than or equal to negative 4. Now the range is the height, how far up and down. Well, if I notice, this graph keeps going up and it keeps going down. So the range would be negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay. Next, you're going to determine if this is a function, if this inverse is a function. So to do that, I do the vertical line test, which if I draw a vertical line, it does not pass the vertical line test because it passes more than once. So this one is not a function. The inverse is not a function because it passes the vertical line twice, and it can only pass it one time. All right, and then the last thing I want you to do is to find the actual equation of this red line. To find the actual equation, I come over here to the original equation, and I'm going to switch x and y. Now this is y. So now I'm going to turn it to x equal y minus 2 squared minus 4. I switched x and y because that's how you find inverse. Switch x and y. And now I'm going to solve for y. To solve for y, I need to first move this plus 4 to the other side. Or move the minus 4 by adding 4, sorry. So then x plus 4 equals y minus 2 squared. I added because this is a minus 4. It's not a times. So I added it to the other side. Now I need to get rid of the square. To get rid of a square, we take the square root. So I have plus or minus square root of x plus 4. I put the plus or minus because we're taking square root, and we learned that before Thanksgiving. Alright, lastly, I have a minus 2, so I'm going to plus 2 to the other side. Here's the deal. I can't add this 2 to the 4 because this 4 is inside the house. So all I can do is put it in the front. Alright, so there's my inverse equation. Now I can check, make sure this works by taking this and plugging it into y equal and make sure it matches. Okay, to plug this in the calculator, you got to do it twice. You got to do a plus version and a negative version. Okay, let me make sure that's all you got to do. Let's see. Yep, so that's what you're going to be doing with these problems. Okay, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do this one. So first thing I'm going to do is just graph it. So y equal. Clear this one out. This one says 3 plus square root x plus 1. Okay, so I graph it, see what it looks like. Alright, so looking, it's only part of a u, so it looks a little different. So then I go to table to get some points. So, let's see. Oh, I see something going on. So from here, it doesn't work, but it starts at negative 1, 3. So I'm going to start with negative 1, 3. Negative 1, 3. Then I saw 0, 4. And then let me get one more point. 3, 5. Alright, so 3, 5. So I'm going to draw the original. Negative 1, 3. 0, 4. And then 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so then I sketch my graph. And then I'd make sure, check the matches. Yep, looks pretty close to the same. Alright, so now I find the inverse. So find the inverse, I switch these points. So 3, negative 1, I switch x and y. 4, 0, and 5, 3. So 3, negative 1 will be here now. 4, 0 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 is right here. And then 5, 3. So now the graph faces that direction. Okay, so I found the inverse. Now, I find the domain and range. So the domain and range for the red one. Domain is left and right. This red graph does not go left and right. It only goes right, which is greater than. It goes right for forever, but it starts here, which this number for the x value was negative 1. Now the range is how far up and down. This graph, hopefully you can tell, only goes up. So it's going to be y is greater than or equal again because it's going up, not down. If it was down, you put less than or equal to. But it's going up from this y value, which was 3. Alright, now the blue one, the domain and the range. The domain is left and right. I notice again, this graph is only going right. So it's going positive infinity towards the right. But it starts at this x value, which is 1, 2, 3. Then the range is y's. I again notice that it does not keep going up and down. It only goes one direction. So I talk about range, I talk about up and down. It only goes up. So again, it's only going greater than. And it's going up from this y value, which is negative 1. So again, the range, talk about the range. This graph only is going up, but it goes up from this y value. So that is how I write my range. Alright, then I ask myself, is this inverse a function? So let me draw a vertical line. I see it only touches once. So yes, it is a function. It passed the vertical line test. Okay, if it passes once, it is okay. So again, we did talk about function, not a function, first 9 weeks, so you can go back to your notes for that as well. Alright, so next what I want to do is actually find the equation for this blue piece right here. So to find the equation, I have to take this, which is y equal 3 plus square root of x plus 1, and switch x and y. Literally, I just switch x into y and y into x. Now again, f of x is y. And now I get to solve for y. Solve for y, I need to move this outside. Now this 3 is not being multiplied, so I get to subtract it to the other side. So I get x minus 3. This goes away, and I'm left with just square root of y plus 1. To get rid of a square root, I square both sides. Now, this side, to write this, I do x minus 3 squared. I don't actually have to figure it out. Okay, I just got to write it. Okay, I square all of it. Last thing to do is move this 1. Again, just like earlier, this minus 3 is inside of something, so I cannot combine it. So all I write is x minus 3 squared, and I'm just going to put the minus 1 in the back, equals y. Alright, to check it, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to kind of check this in the calculator because I've got a couple minutes left. I'm going to grab the calculator, go to y equal, and I'm going to do parentheses x minus 3, oops, clear it out first, sorry, x minus 3 squared minus 1. Okay, and I'm going to graph it. Alright, so here was the blue line. Now looking at it, this has both sides of it. But of course, we know we have to restrict the domain. The domain, we only want to look at the x's that were greater than 3. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yep. Let's check our table. Let's see if our points match up. Alright, we had 3, negative 1. Let's see. Yep, we still have 3, negative 1. We had 4, 0. Yep, we have 4, 0. Then we had 5, 3. Yep, we have 5, 3. So this is the correct equation. That's how I can make sure I can check and make sure it's right. Graph it in y equal and check your points, which they are on there, so we have the right equation. Alright, so that's what you're going to be doing today for the 6 problems that we've provided.